Okay, we're back with Bella,
Hi, Bella.
and we're just going to finish up with her. So, what we've done so far is we did her feet and face and her tail set, and I used the Wild Rivera clipper on that. And then I used the KM2 with a number 2 3/8 inch blade, snap-on, stainless steel snap-on attachment, and we cut in her lines. So we left her some neck, we set her legs back under her, and as I had said before, she's a little bit straight in her rear, so I want to try to give her a little bit more bend in her stifle and a little bit more angulation. So we're going to attempt that. Like a little bit more hair to deal with would make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to start by doing around her cuff. Okay, and again, like with what we did with her feet, I just want to kind of hold her leg in one position without really having to, twist it or move it too much. And I comb everything down, and anything that falls below that clipper line that we made earlier is going to come off. And I'm using actually are my J. Scruggs Signature Series shears, and I'm using the curved shears. So then I'm going to go around. Whenever I lift the legs on any of the toy breeds, I always go very slow. I don't want to startle them. I don't want them to have to, jerk or pull their leg away. So I always try to move a little bit slower on the small dogs. So again, I'm just combing everything down, and everything that falls below her clipper line, we're going to scissor off. And that's how I start my cuff. And I always start with the cuff and then work my way up into the leg. And honestly, there's probably no real right or wrong as long as you're comfortable with what you're doing, so that you don't end up making this too tight, or if you start up here, you might do this too small, and it's going to make it more of like a peg leg. So once I have around the cuff done, then I'm going to comb everything out away from her body, and you want to kind of lift and comb as you go. Good girl. So, and I'm holding my shears at an angle because I don't want to come straight up. I don't want to make this look like an ice cream cone. So I like the cuffs to come out and be more like a column than an ice cream cone. Now I'm going to start off with just getting my parallel lines cut in. So standing, it's okay, baby girl. It's okay. Okay, standing behind her, I'm just going to get my scissors going. And without taking the scissors away from her leg, I want to just start from the top and work my way down. Now I'm not cutting into the front of the leg yet, and I'm not cutting into the back of the leg. I'm just doing my parallel line, and I'm still using my curved shears. And then where we left this little bend in her leg, this is where we want to try to create the angulation into her hock. And her hock hair is really kind of wispy. It's not, she doesn't have a really thick coat in that area. So from where the bend is, I'm going to come down, and then I'm just going to follow this line. What I see a lot of people do is they'll take this down to the hock, and that's actually creating more of like a terrier style leg. But I want to give her legs a little bit more flair. So this area between the bend and the hock, I usually will kind of leave the fill in there to give it some swoop so that it comes out. And I'm going to turn my curved shears the opposite direction and just kind of lay them into the back of the leg that way.
Scissors down for the 1 hour and 45-minute dogs. Scissors down for the 1 hour and 45-minute dogs. 2-hour dogs have 15 minutes remaining. 2-hour and 15-minute dogs have 30 minutes remaining. And stop, scissors down for the 1 hour and 45-minute dogs.
Okay, so what I've done right now is to just make the parallel lines on her back legs. So what you do to the inside, you want to do the same thing to the outside, so you have that nice parallel line. And another thing I see a lot of people do is they'll come down too far on the inside of the leg when they're doing the sanitary. If you take that down too far, then you've taken out a lot of what you need to make that parallel line, and you hollow out the inside of the back legs, which actually makes them look more bow-legged. So you want to try to get these lines as straight and even as possible. And I'm just going to turn her this way because you can see she's missing like a lot of hair in this area right here. So I want to try to fix that. And one of the things to remember is the shortest part on the back of the leg is going to be the longest part in the knee area. So you don't want this to be a straight line from her tuck-up area down to her toe. This should have some bend in the leg. So if you go by thinking about the bone structure again, when you pick up the leg, where that bend is in the leg, you can see where her knee is. And that's where she's going to need the hair to fill in here to give her a little bit of bend. So I'm going to barely take anything off of that, but I'm going to try to carve in a little bit here. And the same thing with the bottom part of the back leg. The longest point here is going to be where you taper in on the front of the leg. So the leg is really very symmetrical going all the way down. But this hawk hair right here is what's going to give her some bend. We don't have much knee. So we're just going to tip this off and try to create a little bit of a knee.
Sue Watson to the judges arena, please. Sue Watson to the judges area.
And this is one of those things that's actually kind of hard to do when the hair is not there. So, like if she came in my shop, it might take me another grooming before I'm able to get that bend back in the leg. But it makes a difference in the overall groom when you step back and take a look at it. It actually makes it flow and look a lot more elegant than if you just make that straight. Oops. It's okay, baby.
Just a reminder to please refrain from flash photography. There are still groomers working. No flash photography. Thank you.
Now she's actually got a pretty good size hole right here. So we're just going to have to let some of that stuff fill in, but hopefully you can get the idea of what I'm trying to do on her and be able to start to see a little bit more of that bend. Working on party poodles is also a little trickier. A lot of times, she's not bad, but a lot of times their hair texture is different, the black from the white. A lot of times the black tends to be softer and the white is more coarse. And it can really screw up your line. So if you're trying to find the last rib and you've got a spot or a stripe kind of going through that area, it kind of throws off your sense of direction a little bit.
Test 1, 2.
Okay, and another thing that you want to remember, when you have, like I said, her tail set is actually pretty decent. But if you have a tail set that's low, the more hair you leave here in the front of the tail, the lower the tail set's going to look. So even if you have a tail set that's really good and you leave all this extra hair, it makes the tail look like it's coming off this way. But when you take this hair down nice and tight, you can see how it brings the tail forward and actually makes it look more on high the way that it should be. Is Jay going to cut me off again? Am I still going? All right, now I'm just gonna go to her front leg. And the same thing, I'm gonna comb everything down. And I'm using my Aranco combs, which are fantastic for every kind of coat, but I especially like this one for the poodle hair, for the poodle coat. Same thing, I'm using my curved shears. Anything that falls below that clipper line that we made is gonna come off. I have to say this is probably the best toy poodle demo dog I have ever worked on. She's awesome. Hi. Probably because she belongs to a groomer. Hi, Bella. All right. So, and again, once I have that combed down, give it a little bit of a shake. And a lot of times I'm holding just the tip of her toes, and when you bend the toe, you can follow that circle around, and that will kind of give you the bevel that you need. Then I'm gonna stand her up. And the same thing with the back legs. I want these to be nice parallel columns, and I want them to balance with the rest of the dog. So I don't wanna make pegged short front legs and have full back legs. So what she's got right now, she's got a lot of extra hair, so we want to follow this line down and we want to get our parallel lines. Jay Scruggs is here and he's being a brat. And I'm still using my curved shears because by using your curved shears, it kind of already gives the shape that you're trying to achieve going around the dog rather than using straight shears. And you can see with a coat like this, you can go in any direction. So you do not have to scissor straight up and down. You can actually go around the dog.
Gianni, this is Paige and Gianni. Please meet Joe at the front door. Paige and Gianni from security. Meet Joe at the front door. Thank you.
And by scissoring sideways, going across this way, by standing directly in front of her, I can actually see my parallel lines better. Let me see if I can turn her this way. If I move, what? Stop? I still have a whole head to do. Can I? Jay's trying to get rid of me. All right, well, I can work on her and then come back after you're done doing what you want to do. So what am I doing? I don't scissor like Jay Scruggs, 90 miles an hour. Am I still on? 5 minutes? Okay. Okay, so this is the idea anyway. You want to get this to be a nice line going all the way down. Work your way around the leg. And they're almost done with the judging over there, so I'm not going to have time to get her completely done, but I'm going to move to her top knot right now. So we can at least get that whacked in. That's not good terminology, whacked. Good girl. Okay. Now with her sitting in front of me, actually I prefer him to stand when I'm doing the top knot. And again, when you're doing the party color, a lot of times when they have those little phantom mark eyebrows, sometimes that hair is more like a wiry texture. It's a little bit different. So sometimes it's a little bit funny to do. But so I'm going to just come up on the sides, and when I come up, I'm not coming straight up and down. I'm actually scissoring it a little bit more of an angling out. Flip that ear back. So this line that we made from the ear to the eye, I want this to be nice and tight and clean. And I'm going to follow that line straight up over her ear. And I'm still holding my shear at a little bit more of an angle, so I'm not coming straight up. I prefer a top knot that has a little bit of full and roundness to it. Still, it's got to be in balance with the rest of the dog and the size of the dog, but I don't like a little tight cap on the head. I like, and actually if you want to create more neck, you kind of need some height in the top knot to give the illusion of a dog that has no neck to have a little bit more neck. So you would actually have more here, and it will give the illusion of it having more length on top. Okay, same thing this side. Just gonna get that nice and tight. Stand up, honey. Coming over the top of this ear. And then across the front. And again, I'm holding my shears at an angle. I don't want to take this all off because then it makes them look like they ran into the back of a car. So I'm holding it at an angle, and it's going to be really short right above her eyes, which is usually the hair that the clients worry about falling into their eyes and making their eyes run and all that good stuff. And it's those short hairs that I create over the top of the eye that kind of give lift to the rest of the top knot and keep it up out of her face. Okay, so now we've got our top knot blocked in. So then I'm going to take the hair, comb it from one side all the way off to the other side. And you can see all the extra hair that starts to hang off. But I'm going to follow the line that we already started and just kind of work my way and bevel that from the ear and round it up into the top knot. Okay, so now we've got this nice line starting. Then I'm going to take it all the way this way. Same thing, you can see all this hair that's hanging off the edge. And I'm going to work that up into her top knot. Then when you comb it all up, you can see you've already got a lot of shape there. So it's basically just kind of tipping it up and cleaning it up a little bit. And I usually try to do this, if you can kind of master keeping your scissors going and just moving her head, then you're going to have less chop marks. Every time you take your scissors away from the dog, you're going to end up having a hard time putting it back to exactly where you left off. But if you keep your scissors on the dog and you just move the dog instead of your scissors back and forth, then you'll get a much smoother finish.
Two-hour dogs, scissors down. Our 2-hour dogs, it is scissors down.
Okay, and I will also.
Dogs with 2 hours and 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes remaining.
Now I want to work this into her neck. So I want her to have some arch to her neck, and then just lay her neck right into her shoulder. And I'm still using my curved shears. So basically, this is all I've used on her so far is just my curved shears. okay, it's okay. Good girl. And this is the area that a lot of people tend to leave too much hair, and they end up having that neck hump. So you want to be sure, and you can see I'm actually holding my curve shears sideways and then laying it into the shoulder that way, rather than trying to come up this way or come down this way. And what I'm aiming for is the withers should line up with the elbow. So this is how I kind of know where I want to place my neck, the length of my neck. Now at this point, I actually turned my curved shears around. It's okay, girl. A little bit too full. Okay, I gotta hurry up because Jay's gotta come cut my microphone cord. Let me just jump to her tail real quick. And again, this is a really short tail. So I'm just going to kind of do a little twist on the end. And I do the tail the same way that I do the cuffs on the feet. Comb everything down, and everything that falls below my clipper line, I'm going to scissor around. And if you find that you're having tails that are coming out looking more like a Christmas tree, it's probably because you're going more from top to bottom or bottom to top, you know, meaning coming up this way or going that way. But if you work your way around and bevel like you would on the cuff of the foot, you're going to end up with a rounder pom-pom rather than an ice cream cone or a Christmas tree shape. No, we just met.
She stands very nice. Isn't she pretty?
Okay, and this is one way that I also check my work from behind, so I can see if I have too much in her shoulder area or too much in her neck. If one side is heavier than the other, when you're standing directly behind them, it's a good way to check your work as well. Okay, so this is our little Bella. It's okay, girl. I am going to finish neatening her up, but we have to cut away. Good girl. Yeah, that's a good